Matlock, regularly scheduled for this time, will not be seen tonight, so that we may bring you the following 10 signatures.
Good evening. Channel 10 has a very special program for you tonight, a celebration of the 40 years we've been on the air here in San Diego.
You know, Stephen, it's not often we get to travel through time. We'll take a look at the people and events that have shaped us over the past 40 years and a peek forward into the future.
To begin our journey, let's start at the time and place when Channel 10 first became San Diego's window to the world. Here's Captain Mike.
Thank you. Well, over the past 40 years, Channel 10 has gone through a heck of a lot of changes. In fact, this was not the station's original home. We actually grew out of a radio station which started way back in 1925. The station broadcast its signal from the top of the U.S. Grant Hotel under the call letters of KFSD and eventually became an affiliate of the Blue Network of NBC. But it was in 1953 the station jumped into the world of television. After a year of sharing really cramped quarters with KFSD Radio, the television station moved its studios to Enterprise Street, just off Pacific Highway. But conditions there weren't really very much better. So in 1957, the owners decided to do it right. They set out to build a $1.1 million building, and that was a lot of money in those days, for both the radio and the television stations right here at Highway 94 and 47th Street, and we've been here ever since. Right now, let's go up to Jack White and Sky 10 for a special look back at the station. Jack.
Thank you, Captain Mike. How many times have I said that over the years? They called it San Diego's Broadcast City, and it was the most modern and complete radio and television station in the entire country. Perched on 17 acres of land, there were only a few buildings and miles of brush.
The official groundbreaking took place May 23, 1957, and the following day the ceremony was aired on NBC's Today Show. It took exactly 1 year for the station to be built. In 1958, San Diego's new broadcast city was officially dedicated with a special one-hour program.
Stand by for the exciting story of San Diego's new broadcast miracle. Broadcast City, $1 million broadcast city. Today, KFSD dedicates this magnificent broadcast facility to you, the listener, and you, the viewer. There is no finer broadcast facility in the world.
The new broadcast city was nearly an acre in size, big enough to house the 2 KFSD radio stations and the now profitable television station. Equipped with the state-of-the-art electronics, Channel 10 sported a newsroom and 2 television studios, one with a turntable in the floor, and the capacity to hold a fair-sized audience. The station also had its own prop shop, where sets could be built, and dressing rooms for on-air talent.
Television, not only at Channel 10, but across the country, had found its place in American society. By the mid-50s, nearly every American family had a television set. Color, when it hit the scene in 1951, became all the rage, but it was expensive. RCA's color set cost a whopping $1,000, more than 3 months' salary for many workers. Still, we were willing to pay the price. After years of struggling through the Depression and World War II, we were ready to live it up. It was a decade of leisure, comfort, and fun.
Yes, once you come home, Bill Bailey, once you come home, I feel it all night long. I'll do the cooking, honey, and pay the rent. I know I've done you wrong. Now when your treaders were on the ground with nothing.
We were embracing our newfound prosperity with a vengeance. Driven by superior American technology, a full-blown consumer culture was born, with Americans acquiring more goods than ever before.
Introducing the American way of life on the threshold of the golden 60s. Color, style, comfort, utility, and convenience.
With the baby boom in full swing, we flocked to the suburbs. Making children and family our highest priority, television, of course, mirrored the ideals of the time, setting the standard for the ideal American family.
What the heck is that? Well, you know that old moose head we've got up in the attic? We now have a friend for him.
Well, get him out of here. That's not exactly what I planned for dinner.
With structure for the perfect family life in place, Americans wanted to be entertained, and for that, Channel 10 viewers turned to their favorite NBC shows.
But television was not just entertainment.
Scott Huntley, NBC News, New York.
And David Brinkley, NBC News, Washington.
Television was bringing the world into our living rooms, and suddenly, news events and social problems touched us in new ways. The civil rights movement was coming to life before our eyes. Also fighting for freedom on an international level with the Cold War conflict. The threat of nuclear war with the Soviet Union was putting San Diego's fighting forces on alert, ready to protect our American way of life. These tensions seeped into the American consciousness, creating a communist monster at home.
Freedom's torch, lighting our continent, is the target of those who do not believe in freedom.
Meanwhile, America was involved in another political showdown, the race for space. In 1957, we were appalled when the Soviets got there first. American attempts up until then had been disastrous, but we still gathered around the television, breathlessly watching every missile launch, whether they were successful or not. It was Convair Astronautics, a San Diego company, that helped the U.S. space program finally get off the ground again with its powerful Atlas missile. San Diego made national headlines in the field of medicine, too. Dr. Jonas Salk unveiled his famous polio vaccine with the hope that this crippling virus would soon be conquered.
Our sleepy little community south of Los Angeles was slowly waking up, and Channel 10 was there to chronicle it. Near the close of the decade, Hollywood hit the shores at the Hotel del Coronado for the filming of Some Like It Hot. A few miles up the coast, Mission Bay Aquatic Park, with its 27 miles of beaches, was well on its way to becoming one of the premier recreation parks in the world.
This resort property fronting ocean and bay may well be the Miami Beach of tomorrow.
And in downtown San Diego, one-way streets were becoming a way of life, while the raising of Lane Field forced the Padres to leave the waterfront. In all, the 50s were fabulous. Many felt America was on the road to a prosperous and a peaceful future. Little did they know what the next decade had in store for them. But for now, Americans were busy living the good life.
Good dream, sweetheart, hello, hello, Jen. Shaboom, and open, we'll meet again, boom, ding dong, ding dong, a lang, a lang, a lang, hum, whoa, whoa, dip, a bib, a dub, a dib, oh, life could be a dream. If only all my precious plans would come true. If you would let me spend my whole life loving you, life could be a dream, sweetheart.
When we come back, the sights and sounds of the 60s as 10 turns 40 continues.
Like money? I think it's real keen. Been using it for years. It's so practical. Sometimes I fold it up and put it in a clip, and other times I just let it lie straight out in a wallet.
Tonight's Signature Series is brought to you in part by Dixieline Home Centers, celebrating our 80th year serving your home improvement needs. And by JCPenney, doing it right.
The peaceful pace of 50s life would prove to be a stark contrast to the counterculture of the 60s. Never before, and perhaps never again, would we experience such hope and heartache, such innocence and anger in such a short time.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
As John F. Kennedy was sworn in as our 35th and youngest president, he called out to a new generation, a generation ambitious to play an active role in shaping our future. San Diego's future was starting to take shape as well. Downtown saw its first high-rise break the skyline, and a new community concourse and civic theater were created. The Salk Institute provided a top research center, while the San Diego Zoo and a modest aquatic park called SeaWorld signaled the beginning of efforts to turn San Diego into a multi-million-dollar tourist attraction. The Chargers migrated from Los Angeles to Balboa Stadium downtown and became so successful that a new, modern facility was constructed in Mission Valley. By the end of the decade, the sports arena and the gleaming Coronado Bridge would be added. Channel 10 developed too as Time Life purchased KFSD and changed the call letters to KOGO. With new technologies, our ability to gather news and information reached a new high. Our programming was diverse, reaching a growing local audience with favorites such as Johnny Downs and San Diego's own Mistress of the Dark, Mona Lisa.
It's midnight. It's the moon, and it's me. Mona as in you-know-where. Mona Lisa, girl guide of the galaxies and heavenly hostess. At home and entertaining.
Even a star of the future called Channel 10 home, Regis Philbin.
Hey, KGTV, my old home there in San Diego, California. Celebrating your 40th anniversary. Always was a terrific television station where I got my start. Some of my friends are still there. I went back there last year, reminisced with all of you, and took a look at the old set, the old studio. Still look great to me. Still one of the best.
Prominent voices were bringing their messages to San Diego, and our aerospace industry propelled us to new frontiers. Across America, television was taking on new roles, becoming a powerful force in our lives. Never was this more evident than on a Friday afternoon in November of 1963, when a nation lost its innocence.
It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. There has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound. The presidential car coming up now. We see Mrs. Kennedy's pink suit. There's a Secret Service man, spread eagle, over the top of the car. We can't see who has been hit, if anybody's been hit, but apparently something is wrong here. Something is terribly wrong.
We shall all stand by then and just relay the information as it comes in. Obviously, it's going to be sketchy.
Two priests in Dallas who were with President Kennedy say he is dead of bullet wounds.
TV also reflected the country's hope of healing its legacy of hatred and prejudice, bringing the passion of the civil rights movement into our homes and hearts.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
In a few years, college students would take their place on the front line of political reform. But for now, campus life in general was on cruise control.
Catch a wave and you're sitting on top of the world.
Sea Beach and throughout Southern California, we were soaking up the sun and surf while Detroit's Motown sound motored up the charts. That is, until four lads from Liverpool changed everything. The British invasion was in full swing, and nothing would stop it. Music and fashion set the pace for a nation eager to follow every step.
Just because we get around. Talking about my generation. Things they do look awful. Talking about my generation. I hope I die before I get old.
Through television, the world was growing smaller. Graphic scenes from Vietnam were played out before us, and the reaction was strong. And the once peaceful civil rights movement was erupting in violence. All stark, unsettling images. But TV also provided an escape.
The amazing, the thrilling, the greatest, spectacular, incredible, exciting, wonderful, the Beverly Hillbillies.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip. Not for shy, it's telling you.
My Three Sons.
Listen, 99, just remember this. A coward is a frightened man who's scared to be brave. But a brave man is only a coward who isn't scared to be frightened.
And don't forget those important commercial breaks.
Charlie says, love my gun and plenty. Charlie says, really rings the bell.
Oh, the goodness of Cheerios. Mustang, the bright new shape of total performance. The car everyone went wild for overnight.
Other cars you drive. This one, you Thunderbird.
When I first came here, most local commercials were done live. A lot of them right in this studio, which is a very large room. And they were fun because they were live.
Good. Stop down to BMW of San Diego, your exclusive BMW dealer. Take a step now. You really don't have to climb the Alps.
I guess you could say I'm the cause of it all. At least some of the first commercials that were done at the local level went like this. Honest Sam, the dealing man.
Well, I meant it. I am sincere.
And then somebody remembered sex. Now, girls sit on my roof.
Ah, you see, we are almost ready for the Cocoa News from 5:30 to 6:30. We have good people working very well together to put together this news. National, local, we even have the weather.
Mass media was becoming larger than life, loaded with images, shaped by a drug-influenced counterculture. The pop revolution was in full swing.
Leaving me at night, coming to me in the morning, leaving me alone. You got that rainbow feel, but the rainbow has a beard.
The end of the decade was filled with contradictions. We were still at war with no end in sight. And 3 charismatic leaders had been taken by assassins' bullets. Yet we had done the improbable, the impossible. We had landed a man on the moon. And on a farm in upstate New York, 500,000 of our young and disillusioned gathered for 3 days of peace, love, and music.
Well, I came upon the child of God. He was walking along the road, and
Next up, we'll go from the we decade to the me decade, as 10 turns 40 continues.
I need a few good sky watchers, so if you'll send me your name and address and phone number, I'll be glad to send you one Captain Mike thermometer, just like the one hanging on the Sky 10 tacky tree over here, and then from time to time, I'll check with the exact weather conditions at your home and maybe use them on the weather here on Channel 10.
The 60s had left a generation disenchanted, yet hopeful and embracing the promise of a better future. But could the 1970s fulfill the potential of that promise? Or would the turn of events leave us feeling doubtful and dejected?
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office.
For the first time in the history of our country, a president resigned the Oval Office. It was the end result of a long domino effect started by some rather clumsy burglars.
But I'm trying to focus on the president. What did the president know, and when did he know it?
Watergate would stand as a monument for a newfound cynicism in this country.
People have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
With all the attention focused on the White House, it might have been easy to overlook the growing women's liberation movement. Easy, that is, if it hadn't been so vocal. Channel 10 heard the rallying cry and brought the message to San Diegans.
Well, you know, the most marvelous thing are the women, of course, the women that are here. I worry about anything as big as this, that is obviously as threatening to the status quo as the woman movement is.
When I was in college, the women's movement was really getting going. The leaders of then the National Organization for Women had surveyed San Diego's radio and TV stations, said not enough women were on the air, and suddenly a lot of us had jobs who didn't have on-air jobs before that. I'd been doing off-air reporting before then. So the women's movement definitely improved my lot in broadcasting, speeding things up a little sooner than it would have.
As the battle between the sexes heated up, Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King chose to have some fun with it. Women's lib had become a catchphrase, and so had...
Look at that male chauvinist pig that symbolizes what Bobby Riggs is holding up there, Rosie.
I got some Ms. for you. Yeah, we got ourselves a live one. Real porker. Male chauvinist type.
How about that? Morgue of the Confederacy, trapped in the clutches of a 20th century male chauvinist pig.
Clearly, a change of consciousness was taking place, and at Channel 10, a change of another sort was underway. McGraw-Hill Publishing purchased Kogo and changed the call letters to our present KGTV. Led by General Manager Clayton Brace, we expanded our operations. Aerospace was still in high gear, and with the splashdown of Apollo 17, the San Diego-based USS New Orleans was there for the recovery. With a conservative owner and wild uniforms, the Padres graduated from the minors to the big leagues. And the Chargers continued their winning tradition with Dan Fouts and Air Coryell flying high. In 1977, Channel 10 left NBC to become an ABC affiliate. We were striving for a network look at the local level, and it didn't go unnoticed when Barbara Walters came to town later that year.
At this point, I think our biggest competition is the local news. By the time you've watched an hour of very good local news, why stay tuned for the network news?
Of course, the network still had a leg up on the competition when it came to prime time.
Who can turn the world on with her smile?
Rock music was entering the prime time, too, as flamboyant stars showcased their talents to an ever-growing, ever-changing audience. And who would have guessed that a little movie about a dancing paint store clerk would start a disco inferno? San Diego certainly was not immune. In fact, we had a full-blown case of boogie fever.
The people here, they come because they love the music. They love the place, and they love to be seen.
We were also seeing the influence of disco on the world of fashion. In Vietnam, the fighting had ended, but the war raged on inside of many veterans, and TV continued to captivate us with stories that could only be told through this powerful medium. The potential of local television became obvious in San Diego as Channel 10 continued to expand and refine its community-based news coverage.
This is a live update from the tense drama that's unfolding on Interstate Highway 8 at this moment, as Dr. Richard Townsend is being held hostage by 22-year-old man August Newman.
Now he's standing up. He's looking back at the police officers. He's starting to say something. They're firing! They're shooting!
Good evening. Here's what's happening at 5. A 3-alarm fire in Balboa Park last night destroyed the electrical building, the home of the Aerospace Hall of Fame.
The first alarm went out at 8:14 last night. The flames were spotted by members of a dance class at the Casa del Prado.
It's a real tragedy, not only to San Diego, but to the country, really. If it is arson, what would you say to those two men if you had a chance to talk to them?
I don't think I could talk. It happened this morning, a disaster that many San Diegans have predicted for years. A 727 PSA jetliner crashed with 136 people on board into the North Park area of San Diego.
Perhaps the stark reality of the 70s led us away from social activism and replaced this drive with an inner search for self and peace of mind.
And the search would continue. But as we fought to find ourselves, we had become the classic definition of a pessimist, merely an optimist with experience.
As 10 Turns 40 continues, we'll gear up for the Go-Go 80s right after this.
And one more is accordion music coming back. I think it is the sound of the 80s. It's here to stay. Yeah, the accordion player and a strange person, Weird Al.
The 80s ushered in a period of much-needed economic growth, and with it, a new emphasis on material prosperity. The desire for wealth, status, and a good time set the tone. After the demoralizing setbacks of the 70s, the nation was yearning for a return to greatness.
Let us begin an era of national renewal. Let us renew our determination, our courage, and our strength.
A new era indeed. Just moments after Ronald Reagan was sworn in as president, the 52 Americans held hostage in Iran for the past 444 days were finally released. A collective sigh of relief passed through the country. In San Diego, Channel 10 captured the joyous return of its own Iran hostage, Richard Moorfield.
Now walking through the Marine Color Guard, working their way over to the microphone that's directly in front of our Channel 10 cameras. And then they're escorting Richard Moorfield and Dorothea Moorfield. And by gosh, isn't she beaming today?
Other startling images of the decade, some good, some bad, flickered across our television screens and left deep impressions on our psyche. The devastating earthquakes up in the Bay Area hit San Diegans particularly close to home, just as we turned to ABC to watch the '89 World Series game at Candlestick Park. The disaster unfolded before our eyes.
At second base, so the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an
Sharing the threat of earthquakes, many San Diegans wanted to help their neighbors to the north. Within 24 hours, Channel 10 responded with quake relief.
San Diego's 10, with Pacific Bell and the American Red Cross, present Quake Relief, an appeal for the earthquake victims in the Santa Cruz and Watsonville areas. During the next 90 minutes, San Diego can make a difference.
And San Diego had its own crises as well. We made national headlines with the county's worst floods since World War II, a series of compelling courtroom dramas, and one of the bloodiest one-day massacres in America.
10 fatalities have now been confirmed in this grisly shooting incident, which began roughly around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Ambulances are continuing to roll in at this point. They have been taking victims out of this McDonald's off and on for the past 5 or 10 minutes.
But Channel 10 also helps the city celebrate its triumphs. The city was coming into its own. By 1987, the population of San Diego hit 1 million, with the county reaching well beyond the 2 million mark. San Diego was maturing politically as well, sending Mayor Pete Wilson to the U.S. Senate and electing its first woman to run the city. Then for a time, the office of mayor was swept away in controversy.
The indictments and then subsequent guilty plea and resignation of then-Mayor Roger Hedgecock was, to me, a significant story because it brought San Diego into a realm of politics in a world that we hadn't been in before politically. I know we had the yellow cab scandal back in the late 60s, early 70s. That didn't touch, though, the implications of the Hedgecock, J. David Dominelli story that so dominated national headlines. We were suddenly there politically with the rest of the big cities.
While Roger Hedgecock's problems drew national attention to San Diego, Americans were listening to a new battle cry.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Money was king, and we all wanted a piece of the pie. A new mantra, shop till you drop, drove the nation to excess like never before. About this time, Lotto Mania was born.
Well, this is it. This is the big day millions of Californians have been waiting for months. Lottery tickets will go on sale in exactly 1 hour.
Striving for wealth and image, we found a new role model in the young urban professional, also known as the yuppie. Armed with gold cards, BMWs, and power ties, yuppies even influenced the culinary trends of the day, making wine tasting, brie, and sushi a fashion statement.
Sushi has become a real culinary happening all over Southern California, and sushi bars are opening up faster than the proverbial speeding bullet here in San Diego.
The values of the 80s were also evident in the television shows we watched. Dynasty, one of ABC's top-rated primetime soap operas, set the standard for luxury and wealth, sending offices abuzz the next day with talk about what Crystal and Alexis wore the night before. Television continued to provide us with entertainment, and Channel 10 offered a potpourri of choices.
Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are
Locally, the station ventured into the world of daytime television with its own live one-hour talk show.
And good morning, everyone. At long last, I'm Laura Buxton.
And I'm Bill Griffith. Welcome to the premiere of Inside San Diego.
Another KGTV show, San Diego Scholastic Superstars, gave local kids a chance to show off their brain power.
Before we do anything, I just looked at your name there. Could you tell me what that is?
Bronia.
Bronia is a very pretty name, and
Thank
it just
you.
caught me by surprise. Bronia, thank you very much. Okay. See there, we should give her an extra 5 points. She got her name correct, of course. Thank you.
On the other end of the programming spectrum, Channel 10's news operation remained on the cutting edge.
San Diego's first news helicopter brings an exciting new dimension to news coverage you won't want to miss. Jet 8 speed, long range, and live coverage puts you on top of the situation, no matter where news happens.
And with that report, we inaugurate a new effort in news coverage. Leonard Villarreal is manning our Southern Bureau. And with Margaret Radford heading up the East County Bureau, and of course Susan McBride in the North County, well, we hope to be able to improve our news coverage to all of our 10 viewers.
And I wonder whether a Navy curfew would really force Tijuana to clean up its crooked police force. Forget the red light district. I wonder if Tijuana cops will ever stop pulling over American drivers on trumped-up traffic violations and forcing them to pay bribes to avoid a trip downtown.
What the viewer sees on the air is often much different from what's going on behind the scenes.
Ready to and Mitch.
You've got that. I'll take it.
Thanks a lot. Take two. Ready tape 13. BG. Ready to roll. Ready to take.
Just like
roll.
Hundreds of
Take. Ready or downstream.
Fun
In.
for a purpose. Today's Walk America.
And out.
Television should be like a swan. Underneath the water surface, everything is churning and going crazy. But on the surface that everybody sees, everything is calm and placid and nice. And so that's what I've always tried to do.
Sometimes, however, the illusion is difficult to maintain.
You can find a book on just about everything. So now there's the Rand best places in the country, according. Oh man, time out. Let's go from the top here.
Now, Prudence has had the old common sense treatment. Good exercise, proper diet.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, every time you go around a little bend in the road, there's a surprise up ahead.
Oh, Jesus.
Luckily, out on the playing fields during the 80s, slip-ups and false starts weren't an issue. The sports action was simply extraordinary. By the end of the decade, we would begin to pay a high price for our indulgences during the go-go 80s, but boy, was it fun while it lasted.
Stay tuned for a look at how the 90s are shaping our future as our 40th anniversary celebration continues.
Americans are going to consume 150... Oh, no, I did that. Oh, no. Oh, man. This stinks. Hey, this is going to be our blooper? Yeah.
As we've seen, the world has undergone phenomenal changes over the past 40 years. And even though the 90s are just barely underway, this decade is proving to be as momentous as the last four.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
When Bill Clinton took over the office of president last January, he put an end to a dozen years of Republican control in the White House. His promise to open up the lines of communication with the American people inspired a series of electronic town hall meetings across the country. Channel 10 landed the assignment of hosting the president's second televised forum, allowing San Diegans a chance to voice their concerns.
First, I want to thank all of you for being here, and to say I think this is probably the second town meeting I've done like this since I have been president, but I want to start scheduling them on a more regular basis now.
In the 90s, television has continued to bring the world to our doorsteps.
Have no choice but to drive Saddam from Kuwait by force. We will not fail.
San Diego's forces found the front line when the crisis in the Persian Gulf erupted into war in 1991. As we anxiously watched the war unfold, thousands of military families waited for word from their loved ones. Channel 10 delivered the message with postcards from home.
I'm thinking of how precious our freedom is and how careful we must be with it.
I miss him. And when I'm thinking about him, and I wish he would come home.
We took our viewers inside another international conflict with Faces of War. We're in an underground hospital in Bosnia-Herzegovina. This hospital is literally underground, 20 floors under a mountain, in a converted nuclear fallout shelter. It's hidden because, in this war, hospitals are a favorite target. Closer to home, we waged wars of our own. Today we take for granted our instant access to news events, but live coverage didn't used to be so easy.
On May the 9th, 1972, along with 40 other people and 3 truckloads of equipment, we all went out to the Wild Animal Park in the San Pasqual Valley that was opening that day, and we put an hour-long program on the air. 10 years later, we went back to the same Wild Animal Park, 1982, May 9th, and 3 of us did the same show out of the trunk of a car. It just all changed literally overnight.
TV and the way we watch it changed emphatically and dramatically this year when a new cable retransmission contract was hammered out. Technology and its use has been just one focus of our industry. During the past 40 years, our role as a television station has continued to evolve. Beyond providing news and entertainment, we strive to have a positive impact on San Diego through various projects that connect us with the community.
We are a 40-year institution here in the community that has been known, I believe, as an activist. So we're not here just to entertain and inform, but I think probably to stimulate thought and debate. We do that with a number of functions like editorials and perspectives and troubleshooters. I think as there are more voices and as our community becomes more diverse and complex, that it's even more important that a station like ours continue to have that distinctive role to get people thinking about the city that they live in and the democracy that they function in.
The people and their involvement in San Diego is a tribute to our greatness as a city not afraid to make a name for itself. As we approach the mid-90s, it's fair to say that this decade, like the others before, will leave its indelible stamp on our collective conscience. Coming up next, a look at what the future may hold for Channel 10 and the city of San Diego.
Tonight's Signature Series is brought to you in part by Crown Books. If you paid full price, you didn't buy it at Crown Books. And by Bank of America, banking on America.
Having come this far looking at yesterday, let's spend a few minutes looking into the crystal ball of tomorrow.
Of course, we don't know what the future will hold, but we can be sure Channel 10 will be a part of it.
As the city continues to evolve, so will our role as a television station. Change is, after all, the only thing we can be certain of.
It seems a fair guess something will be done about the airport. Today, the talk centers on Miramar. Expanding Lindbergh Field is not out of the question. And before you take any bets, look at how long this discussion has been going on.
We know NAFTA will bring change, though everyone seems to have a different idea of what that change will be. One thing seems certain. We can expect San Diego and Tijuana to become closer friends and neighbors than they've ever been before.
In any case, change is something we should be planning on right now. Otherwise, we'll be well into the next century before San Diego gets out of the recession and back to where we were in 1990. The bigger picture is that there will be an economic explosion in the 21st century, and San Diego's fortunes won't depend as much upon the state or the country as it will upon the world economy. Part of San Diego's future prosperity can come from having an especially fine port on the Pacific Rim and one of the busiest international borders in the world.
And when we do business with the world, more and more we'll be doing business with women. San Diego is ahead of the curve when it comes to women in government leadership. There's been a woman leading our city for 7 years.
In the next century, the options for Channel 10 and San Diego will be many. Some combination of your television, cable, computer, and phone will be your key to entertainment, shopping, banking, and more.
Listen up, sports fans. If you don't want all your entertainment delivered at home, make plans for Super Bowl 32 in 1998 at Jack Murphy Stadium. Maybe this time the Chargers will be in the game instead of at the game.
Channel 10 will be there for the groundbreaking of another sports arena and to welcome another professional basketball team and maybe even a hockey team. And the Padres, we can hope, will bring another pennant to our city. But remember, we're only guessing here.
We'll be a bigger city. There's no guesswork in that prediction, with big city growing pains and problems and big city excitement and advantages. And if we work at it, we can also have the San Diego we already know, the city we love and are proud to call home.
They say life begins at 40, but then you know more about that than I do, don't you, Jack?
Hold it, Carol. Jack still swears he is 39. That's in dog years. I'm sure of it.
Thank you, my son, I think. You know, if life does begin at 40, then the next 40 years around here are going to be pretty exciting.
Stay tuned. The best is yet to come.
You're right, Kim, but let's not forget to thank our loyal viewers for making us a part of the family all these years.
Thank you, San Diego, and be good to one another.
Everyone looks at what I do as being a romantic and exciting job. And it's all of those things and a little bit more. And I have to tell you truthfully, in the 27 years that I have been doing this in San Diego, there has never, ever been one single day that I haven't wanted to come to work. Some mornings, more than others, I just can't wait to get here to find out what's going to happen next.